Are you 10? I hope you are all very, very well. I spoke to Mrs. Cooper about 10 minutes ago and asked her how exactly she gets her PowerPoints to record and gets them to send to you, and she advised me to use this wonderful technology that puts her in the corner, so that's why I am in the corner of your screen right now, and to talk you through this PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through very, very briefly the PowerPoint that I sent out for today's lesson, so about this health and well-being and exercise. So I'm going to talk you through that and then share that with you. Some of you have had quite a bit of trouble accessing this, so I'm going to send this one out and you can work through this one at your own pace then during today, what will be today's lesson, because it will be Wednesday by the time you're seeing this. And then I'm also going to put another one on which is about diet and healthy diet. Now at the start of the healthy diet one, I'm going to set an assessment that I want you to complete. So whether you're working through this lesson or whether you're working through the diet lesson, depending on where you are at, I want you to make sure that you finished that assessment, just so that I can assess you at the end of the week, ready to give you feedback for Tuesday's lesson. So obviously feel free to pause me as and when you need to. So for those of you that have done the lesson, obviously you can skip through the vast majority of this, but the first thing I wanted you to do was to write down what you believe it means to be healthy, and then obviously pause me and unpause me when you've done that. So these are our learning outcomes. What we're looking at in this particular lesson is exercise and the importance of exercise and the benefits exercise can have on pies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record another video, probably ready for next week, that talks about some of the really key concepts that I need you to understand for the exam, and I'm going to do one on the structure of the exam as well, because that's not vitally important for you to know to allow you to do this lesson, but it is important for you to know moving forward. So I'm going to do two different videos. So if you weren't able to access this particular PowerPoint or the PowerPoint that I sent out yesterday, then don't worry about it. I will go back through it. I will do another lesson on it. So the first thing I want you to do is have a look at this slide, and I want you to think about what the effect is of this lifestyle. So just have a look at the video, pause me while you write down some of your thoughts, and then unpause me when you are ready to go. So this lifestyle, for those of you that don't know, is called sedentary, and what that basically means is that you are inactive. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are sitting slobbering on the sofa eating bowls of popcorn and biscuits and drinking bottles of beer like this gentleman is, but it does mean that you are not active. So if you asked 100 people at the moment what their lifestyle is likely to be like, the vast majority of people would say that they are probably living a sedentary lifestyle, because people aren't as active, people aren't getting out and doing as much as they would normally. And that's one of the reasons why the government is saying that they want people to use this hours exercise that you're able to have each day, so that people are able to get out and have their exercise. Because if you do live a non-active lifestyle and you do live a sedentary lifestyle, what's the effect of that? To stretch yourself a little bit further and to start thinking about how you might access those high grades on the exam, what I want you to think about is how living that lifestyle, not just the effect that that lifestyle would have on your physical health, but what effect would that lifestyle have on your intellectual health, for example, or your emotional health. If you were living like that every day, how might you feel? What about your social life? How could that affect your social life? Okay, so pause me while you do that, and then unpause me to move on. This one is just a little activity for you to think about. So you can do this in two ways. You can do this almost as a comparison. So what I want you to think about is, at the start of this year in January, if I'd said to you, do you exercise daily, what would you have said? And then think about it now. Are you exercising daily? Are you going out every day and getting that hours exercise that the government are saying that you can have? I don't get out as often as I could. I saw a woman tonight in a field when I went shopping, skipping. I can guarantee she probably doesn't do that normally. And for some people, this is a good thing, because actually, because they're locked in the house and they can't get out, this is encouraging them to go out and do a little bit more exercise. So are you exercising daily? What 2 things could you do to improve your fitness? And then 3 things that are having a negative impact on your fitness at the moment. The biggest one, of course, is the situation we are in at the moment. Okay? So this one obviously says in small groups. You can't do this in small groups because we aren't in school, but just want you to think about what the benefits are of exercise. And something that's really, really key to think about, and I've just alluded to this in the slide about the sedentary lifestyle, is does exercising just have a physical benefit, or does it have an intellectual benefit as well, or an emotional benefit, or a social benefit, for example? Does it have other benefits other than just keeping you fit and healthy? This one, I think the vast majority of you have done and have sent me. So on this one, what I wanted you to do was look at what the short-term and long-term effects were of exercise on your physical health. And then I wanted you to just highlight in 2 different colours, or you could do them in mind maps, or you could do them in lists. It's entirely up to you, but which ones you think are long-term and which ones you think are short-term. And what I actually said on the PowerPoint that I sent this morning, oh, Bill just sent me an email, and that's going to appear on your lesson tomorrow. Thank you, Bilal. What I did say to people to do is to have a look at this. These are the answers. So, are there any on here that you don't agree with? Are there any on here that you think are not short-term effects and actually are long-term effects, or that are long-term effects and actually are probably short-term? So just to have a think about that, and have a think about it. It's about challenging yourself to think a little bit more outside the box, rather than just seeing that as black and white and that's what it is. Actually think about how you could challenge that. So, for example, improve sleep. Is that a short-term or a long-term effect? Now on here it says short-term, but actually is it more likely to be a long-term? So just something to think about. Okay. Then you've got 3 statements. So what I wanted you to do for these was to have a look at them and just explain why you think each of the statements are wrong. So as you get older, you should exercise less and save your energy. Do you agree or disagree with that? There are no real benefits to exercise other than the physical aspects, and we've just talked about that a little bit on that previous slide. So do you agree or disagree with that? And then when exercising, you must go for the no pain, no gain approach. So do you agree with that or not? I was often told, my mum often tells me, that if you're not sweating, you're not doing it right and you're not burning any calories. I don't know how much I agree with that, but do you agree with them or do you disagree with them? And I want you to explain why, not just yes, I disagree. Why do you disagree? Okay. So looking at this one, these are some of the benefits of exercise and some of the benefits of not just exercise on your physical health, but also your social and emotional health. So it does get rid of stress and aggression. A lot of people will use exercise if they've had a particularly tough day, or they've had something that's wearing them up, or they've had an argument with somebody. A lot of people will use exercise as a way to get rid of their stress and aggression. Success in sport can boost your self-esteem and your self-confidence. So if you're doing well at something, the chances are you're going to have a higher self-confidence or a higher self-esteem. Gives you a chance to meet new people and make friends. You do learn and develop new skills, but perhaps the most important one, I don't know how well you can see it actually because my face is in the way, but there you go, is my brain. Oh, Bilal again. Hi, Bilal. My brain produces chemicals like serotonin, which improves my mood and protect against mental health disorders. And that's really, really, really important, especially at the moment. And that's why I don't know how many of you are keeping up with the daily press conferences that are going on, or are keeping up with the news. But that's the one reason why we are in the kind of lockdown that we're in. So in Spain, the lockdown was you couldn't leave your house at all. But over here, it is that you are allowed to leave your house for certain reasons. And keeping that hour's exercise every day is really, really important, because if you're not able to get out and you're not able to exercise, it can have a damaging effect on your mental health. So this one, I'm just going to move this out of the way a little bit because it is in the way and it will annoy me. So these are just some statistics. In an official recent survey, doctors found between 17% of boys and 16% of girls between 12 and 15 are classed as either overweight or obese, and nearly 3/4 of children are not getting their recommended 60 minutes of daily activity outside of school. This is obviously prior to all of this that's going on. But the question I want you to answer here is, what do you think is stopping young people from doing that exercise? What is preventing young people from going out? So when you get home from school, or other children get home from school, what stops them from going out and doing some exercise? And I want you to really think about what you may do of an evening when you get home or while you're on holiday that may, instead of going out for a run or out for a walk, what do you do that stops you from exercising? And then why you think so many young people are unfit or overweight. And in fact, do you think that's true? For those of you that are massive on social media, do you think it's true at the moment that there are such a high percentage of people, young people, who are unfit and overweight, or do you think that that is perhaps shifting a little bit? I'm not going to go through that one with you. This one, if you're feeling a little bit unfit and you want to do some exercises, if we were in the classroom, I would be getting you to do these as our starter or our plenary. This would be what we would be doing. So you can sit in your chair, you can listen to me, you can watch this YouTube video, and you can do these exercises whilst you're listening to me waffle on. So have a go at some of those. Maybe not have a go at these ones down here, but it does look like they're social distancing, to be fair. Right, so your plenary, 5 benefits of exercise, 4 different types of exercise, 3 tips for people who struggle to exercise, or 3 tips for me because I struggle to exercise, 2 things you're going to do to improve the amount of exercise that you do, and 1 thing that you have learnt from this lesson that you didn't know before, and you cannot say that you now know what my wallpaper is like, because I will not accept that as an answer. Over the next week, this is what I want you to do, ready for next Tuesday. I want you to keep a diary of how much exercise you're doing over the week. So if you're going out for your hours daily exercise, then keep a record of it. If you're not, then be honest and say, I didn't go out. I'm going to do it as well. I know what mine will look like, but I am going to do one, and I will share that with you next week, just because I think it's quite interesting to see actually how much exercise you do. And then what we'll do next week is we'll make a recommendation for what we're all going to try in the next week to improve our exercise, and then we're going to do that and come back in a week's time and see how that has made an impact. I'm not going to go through this one because for those of you that couldn't access the PowerPoint that I sent out yesterday, I haven't gone through the first bit again, which is about pies and life stages. So you may not have had that information. So just ignore this one. I am going to finish that here and upload this and cringe slightly because I'm talking with my hands and I can see myself talking with my hands. And then I will record the next lesson ready for you to go. And like I said at the very start of that lesson, there will be the assessment that I want you to do for this week, and that will be based on this lesson. So if you've done this lesson and you move on to the next one, you're not going to be struggling to kind of figure out where that assessment goes. It will be based on what we've done in this lesson. So make sure that you watch all of this and that you do all the activities in this, then do the assessment, and then send that to me before the end of your lesson today, and I will then mark that and make sure that that is assessed ready for you for next Tuesday. Bye.